A chicken in a factory farm is hatched in an incubator, separated from its family, and forced to live in a filthy brooder house. Once it's grown, it's moved to a windowless house with thousands of other chickens. It's given cheap feed, and its movement is confined to a space no bigger than an A4-size sheet of paper. It spends its whole life standing on the same spot of dirty floor, breathing in toxic air, always feeling sick and weak. The chicken never gets to experience the warmth of the sun, the feeling of grass beneath its claws, or the joy of living. Now, I want you to imagine yourselves in the place of that chicken. Imagine the despair, the hopelessness, the fear that you would feel. All because humans want to satisfy their insatiable appetite for meat. Now, our generation's preference for cruelty-free makeup and skincare products, while simultaneously owning and caring for pets, raises questions about our society's values regarding animal agriculture. It's truly disheartening to observe how modern society prides itself on its refinement and sophistication, yet continues to show utter disregard and apathy towards the suffering of animals in the agricultural industry. Now, before all the meat lovers in the room turn into nutritionists, I want to emphasize that the intent of my talk is not to judge anyone's food choices or condemn those who eat meat. But I do believe that by utilizing the idea I will be imparting today, we can make a big impact. But before I get started, I want to make sure that this isn't just me talking at you. So let's start with a question. By a show of hands, how many of you here enjoy the savory taste of meat? Wonderful. Thank you for the honest response. You see, as humans, we've been consuming meat for thousands and thousands of years. But the way we produce and consume it now is what's causing some serious problems. Did you know that livestock emissions account for almost a third of human-caused methane emissions? And that's not even considering the massive amount of water and land needed to raise these animals. But it's not just the environment that's suffering. Excessive meat intake has been linked to fatigue, dehydration, and even an increased risk of heart disease and breast cancer in women. So, what can we do about it, right? Well, one solution is to adopt a vegetarian diet. We all are aware that vegetarian diets are loaded with nutrients, antioxidants, beneficial fibers, and so on. Also, eating vegetarian doesn't mean sacrificing taste. There are veggie burgers out there that taste so good, you'll have to double check if they're made of meat. Vegetarian diets are also associated with a lower risk of chronic disease and obesity. Nonetheless, the more tangible benefit of eating a plant-rich diet is that it reduces animal cruelty in the factory farming industry. But I know what some of you might be thinking. But what about the farmers, communities, and families that rely on livestock? That's a valid concern, and one that we need to address. Because if the whole world collectively adopted a vegetarian diet, it could lead to significant unemployment and social upheaval. This is where my idea of a half-week vegetarian diet comes in. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Vegetarian for half a week. Because the world does not have to completely convert to vegetarianism to reap its many benefits. Joseph Poore, director of the Oxford Martin program on food sustainability analytics, said that reducing your meat and dairy consumption, even without eliminating them entirely, could have a significant impact of up to 2/3 of the benefits. Therefore, by simply abstaining from meat for just 3 to 4 days of the week, you'll not only be doing a huge favor to your health, but also be reducing the harmful effects of factory farming. Perhaps you could have plant-based weekends or veggie switch days where you could alternate between the vegetarian and meat days during the week. This is, of course, a personal choice that everyone can make for themselves. What I'm proposing is a flexible and manageable approach where you can choose the specific days of the week to go meat-free. In fact, moderation in your meat eating's frequency and your portion size happens to be key. After all, consumer demand is what drives the market. So if enough people start asking for more vegetarian options, the industry will have to listen. As Graham Hill, a journalist and founder of treehugger.com, said in his TED Talk, quote, "If all of us ate half as much meat, it would be like half of us were vegetarians," unquote. This concept is more than just an idea. It's a movement, a shift in perspective that can positively impact our health, the well-being of animals, and the sustainability of our planet. With this vision, we can create a reality that is not just more compassionate, but more resilient and thriving. So what do you say? Would you give up meat for just half a week? Would you dare to try out the half-week vegetarian diet for the sake of the planet and its inhabitants? We have the power to make a difference with each meal we consume. The things we do add up. Do them long enough and they can add up to an alternate reality. Thank you.